Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Junikala, and today we're checking out the Mark I by THEPHONOLOOP. At least I think it's called Mark I. It could also be themkI, because I haven't seen a definitive one there due to the choice of typography, I guess, or text, font, that's the word. Big day today, because THEPHONOLOOP is one of those really, really, really cool companies. For those of you who know this company, you know that this is probably going to be a treat. And for those of you to whom this is a new company, you're also in for a treat, but you just don't know it yet. So let's go to their website just to show you a bit about this company, in case you're not familiar. So the thing that I know the best from them is Tapes.01. Tapes.01, and I think this is their most well-known library and probably done best, I would presume, based on what I've known. I actually am pretty shocked to see what it's priced at, because I remembered that it was more expensive. Probably not by much, but this seems kind of, I would dare say, like cheap to me in terms of what this gives you. And they seem to have a sale now, so it's even cheaper. But yeah, Tapes.01, basically like a lo-fi tapes playground toy kind of a thing. Just a lot of really cool, vibey, broken, warbly sounds in this. It's just a really, really great library. So really looking forward to seeing what they have done with this new library, of which I actually know strikingly little about. But yeah, they also have some other stuff which I actually haven't tried myself, but I would love to. Have a cassette toy piano, cassette keys, mallets, plucks, vibraphone, etc. And apparently some drums as well, which I didn't know about. But this is, what they do. Let's go over here so I can close Chrome. So what do I know about this? Absolutely very little. I got a message of whether I wanted to check this out. I said absolutely, because, well, like I said, I love Tapes.01. So anything new coming from this company captures my attention for sure. Now, in that message, they didn't say anything about this library. So everything we're going to learn about it is going to come from this thing here, which is the manual, which is there. So you can't blame me for not doing my background work, because we don't have a web page. We have nothing. We had no press release summary or whatever you call those things. But we do have this manual, which seems to sort of start out really just technical, practical, factual. There's no philosophy summary thing here. There's nothing that kind of explains what it is, as far as I can tell. Yeah, this is all kind of very factual, just letting you know how it's laid out and how it works and what's what. But that's fine. I want to come back to this only if I need to, because I do want to test how well this kind of works out of the box, also for a mentally, how do I say this in a nice and constructive way? I have my mental challenges for sure. So let's see how far we get with 2 brain cells and judge the user interface based on that. So the thing that obviously captures your attention here in the name is Mark 1, which makes you think, okay, is it an electric piano? Is it a Rhodes? And indeed, it is. And it sounds fantastic, plays really nicely, super realistic sound. I'm not surprised that they have gone for a Rhodes because, like we said, they kind of brand themselves as a lo-fi company, like making lo-fi instruments. And I find that the Rhodes, or the electric piano in general, is a fantastic instrument for that kind of stuff. And that's why you've heard many, a lot of the lo-fi music out there having Rhodes or other electric pianos. But yeah, I was surprised by this, but playing it now makes a lot of sense. Now, so this was the initialized patch. So I presume this is the sampled Mark 1 that they did, and this is basically that instrument as they sampled it without anything added. And then you have this entire instrument on top of that, which adds to that. When you open this folder up, we have folders from A to K, full of different kind of stuff. So we got classics, which I presume are sort of classic electric piano or Mark 1 type of stuff. Extensions, which seems very interesting. Don't know what to make of that. Essences. This naming system is very much akin to Tapes 01. It can be difficult to navigate based on, not navigate, but rather it can be difficult to find as a new user. It can be difficult to find things that you're looking for with this naming system because they're just the same name or kind of a type and then a number. So it can be pretty tough to find stuff as a new user, but as you find stuff that you like, it gets easier. Collages, fragments, passages, plucks, reveries, ventures, monophonic, MPE. Okay, so that's probably, yeah. Well, we can't do that because don't have an MPE device. But this is the folder system. So as you can see, a lot of presets in every folder. You got also quite a bit to scroll through. So we're obviously not going to be able to play all of these. I'm just going to have to kind of sample from each, unfortunately. But that's what you get when you have a massive library. I want to talk about the way this looks because I do love the way it looks. Again, Tapes 01 looks absolutely fantastic. I just love when you look at an instrument and you immediately get a vibe. You put yourself in a state of mind. I'm very sensitive or, I'm influenced by those kind of things very easily. So I very much do appreciate and like it. I like the kind of gray-green washed out look, very grainy. Things here are also, I like how, I don't have the terminology to describe it, but all the text, all the buttons are sort of very, as if the opacity had been, turned on quite a bit. So it's all sort of very unobtrusive and also very sort of laid back. So I'm not, even though we have a lot of information here on the screen, I'm not overwhelmed by that information. In terms of super intuitiveness, I think it depends on the part that we're looking at, but everything, once you stop to look at it, seems to make a lot more sense. Yeah, this is Marcus from the future, because as this video was on the edit table, I realized I didn't quite do justice explaining this interface nor the instrument's sort of architecture, engine structure enough. And also the THEPHONOLOOP sent me a sort of overview video that explained a lot of stuff as well. So I thought I would add in a bit of a rundown of some of the basics of how this instrument is sort of laid out and structured. Again, this is not going to be a super technical overview. As you know, we don't really do that on this channel a ton unless, you know, I have to or I want to figure out something technical. So again, that overview video, which I'm sure will be released soon by the THEPHONOLOOP, explains these things a lot better than I ever can. But in case you're a lazy person, which you shouldn't be, we'll do a basic rundown here. And also I feel like in case you're just watching this full video, full review, it's kind of like relevant to understand just how awesome it is and how expansive it is and how much you can do with this thing. It's really, really, truly impressive to me. So just briefly, I mean, again, looking at this interface, I personally love the look of this. It's obviously very stylized, very sort of minimal. So I know these kind of interfaces really split opinions a lot. I personally love them. They work well to my taste and my workflow. Granted, this approach means that you probably need to look at the manual a couple of times or familiarize yourself with the workflow and how everything is laid out. But in my personal opinion, I much prefer this approach because once you know how it works, the minimal interface sort of gives space and gets out of the way. So as long as you know how it works, it's actually far more pleasant and faster to work with in the long run, at least in my opinion. But I understand these really do split opinions. But let's just go through some of the basics here. So I think the first thing to start is this bar right here. So you want to keep an eye on these little tiny, let's actually load some kind of a other sound here. So yeah, these tiny sort of lines here, again, can sort of go unnoticed, but these are actually drop-down menus for things. Starting with this one here, let me actually, yeah, let's go there. So in this one, you choose your kind of core sound. So you got the direct in, which is DI, then you got something called Deck A, which is sort of more processed, hissy, tapey thing. I could actually play a bit of that. Well, actually, I should initialize this first before I do this, because I forgot that I already changed the sound. So yeah, has that color, has that sort of grit, and then you have a more extreme version of that, which is the Deck B, which has more of the warble, more of the noise, etc. So that chooses your basic sound. In here, you also got control for release samples, pedal noise, mechanical noises. So kind of basic stuff in that sense. Then I think, well, probably the next thing, let me again load something in here, is to look at the, what do they call these? Slots. So these lines over here, these are slots. And in there, you load samples. So in each slot, you got sample category. So you have stacked, mechanical, tape loop, slices, pulses, one shot, user, and then off entirely. And in each of those categories, you have these individual samples that you load in there. So that's kind of, you load these up in these banks or slots. So that's another basic principle there. Probably next up, looking at this title in the top left corner. So again, if I load the initialized one here, it says the Mark I here. And when I click on that, it opens this window here in the middle. And in here, so basically this view is called the modes. And this is probably, in my estimation, like the biggest aspect of this instrument, because these are basically instruments within this instrument. They are modes of how this whole thing works. And this is really, to me, like where the magic of this is. If you click on the Mark I title here in the middle, it will open a drop-down menu here of all the different modes. So I go orbits, motions, contour, streams, sweeps, molds, lengths, folds, blends, duets, fades, sway, singular, ripple, the mark layer, and the Mark I. So a lot of things to choose from, and each of these you have, like, I guess these are, mode variation is the term called here. So each mode has different varieties of how it works. So hopefully this just gives you an idea of how much operating power this has, like how many different modes this thing can work in. And as you'll hear throughout this demo, they obviously sound very different, and obviously depending on the preset we're looking at, you can look that up here in the left corner. I don't know if you can't probably see my mouse, but again, the title there changes. One of the things I would maybe criticize here is that to realize that this title, by clicking this title here, it opens up this menu that can be difficult to know unless you have read it or seen it, or you obviously got to click it. I mean, it's a big title, but it's still text, so it doesn't make me think it's an actual menu. So maybe some kind of an icon there would help me understand that there's a drop-down menu here. So I would probably look into that. But yeah, again, huge aspect of this, how this operates. And again, you should look at either the Phonoloop overview video on this, or if there are other video creators out there who do sort of more technical deep dives on that. Otherwise, the main page here in the sort of mode tab, you have basic expression section, filter envelope, etc. Got this bus effects thing, which has, again, when you click on what says preamp right here, it gives you a preamp bus effects option and a shifter option. So preamp has a drive here, a tremolo, and a chorus. So pretty basic stuff, which they sound fantastic, by the way, knowing it now. And a shifter, which controls the shifter bus effects, which are super, super cool. But yeah, basic stuff. Then you can change the pattern of the effects in terms of when they come. So it could be always, every 2, every 11. So, and then you have something called flex, which I won't attempt to explain here. But you get the power of this, like the minute control you can do with this. It's stuff like that that brings slight variation to your sounds, and that can make all the difference between a good sound and an excellent one. You have the noise and effects pads, I guess, or rather, XY pads for those. You can click on those, again, these teeny tiny lines on the side, and it opens the noise effects page, or you can click up here from here, and there you got those XY pads A and B for this kind of stuff. And then there is modulation, or automation for those as well here. So gives you an idea of what you can do. The noises here are absolutely stunning, as you'll probably hear later in this demo, or this video. But just give you a basic idea of where this stuff is laid out and how it works. Then there's a big voice sequencer thing. Again, look at the Phonoloop video on that. I won't even try and show you everything this can do, but to put it simply, super flexible, super creative, very well thought through, has a lot of different options and versatility. So you will hear how good that sounds here. And also then you have this pad A, pad B over here that can control and modulate and automate a bunch of stuff in this instrument. I mean, pretty basic principles there, as I'm sure you have seen in other libraries, but again, super, super powerful. And how those sort of link up to all the other functionalities and aspects of this instrument is super impressive. So I think that kind of covers the basics of this, hopefully give you a general idea of the layout here and how these different elements work together. But without further ado, let's get back to the review or the video, and Marcus from the future out. In terms of what we'll be doing today, I will just try and play as much of this out of the box as I can to just demonstrate to you what it does coming out of the box. And that's pretty much it. I don't do any additional effects on top of what is coming out of the Mark I here. I only have a limiter on my master bus, and that's used to make the level more consistent for this video, for your viewing pleasure. That being said, it's set to be as transparent as possible, so you should hear very minimal, if any, coloration at any point. If you do hear any clipping, it's probably the limiter, and I'll let you know either way, certainly if it's not. In terms of transparency, the Phonoloop did send me this copy, so thank you to them for doing so. That being said, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. Let's get into the classics. Again, I'm just going to have to pick based on kind of names and go from there. So this will be interesting. I'm going to start with an 80s wide sound. That is the limiter clipping. So obviously initialized patches tend to be quite quieter than usual, but let's see if this is better. That tiny clipping there is the limiter. I mean, that's off to a good start because that sound is really, really good. One of the dangers that you're facing when you're doing lo-fi is that things can get too sort of harsh and too gritty in a bad way. And this has a beautiful, soft edge to it. Yes, like that noise is beautiful. All of the particles, the artifacts are beautiful, but it has this softness to it. And if you're going to pair this with like a drum loop or the drums that you're working with, it's going to sit beautifully in the back. And it's not going to take up any of this upfront space. That's one of the dangers with an electric piano of any sorts. That's why I actually like the Wurlitzer a bit more in general, because it's kind of like has a softer sound to begin with and a bit more sort of a grittier edge. So this one, for this sound, beautifully, they placed it sort of very much there to the sort of middle back. And this isn't going to fight with a lot of other elements. yeah, super impressive. We're going to move on because I'm just going to play those otherwise too much. This is some kind of an amplified one. Let's push up the level here a bit. That's actually a really beautifully done tremolo pan. Beautiful, like a tiny detail there. When you're playing, it kind of lets a tiny bit of the transient come in, so you get that kind of snap, but it's so fast that it just creates a bit of like a nice transient puff there. That's really, really nicely done. I'm actually, because I'm really impressed by this so far, only 2 presets in, but I should have started by saying that the bar is very high, because I'm kind of like an electric piano, I don't know what the word would be. I really love electric pianos, and I've been playing a lot of them because I just love the sound. And for years I was looking for the perfect electric piano sound for me, because there are so many different types. Obviously we have the Mark I here, but I also have different marks like 5, and then you have got the Wurlitzer, and you got all kinds of different instruments. So in that journey of chasing like the perfect electric piano sound for me, I've got to know these instruments a lot, and I also have a lot of really good sample libraries in the electric piano category. So the bar is very high, and I'm not going to be easily impressed, because there are also a lot of libraries that I've tried that just don't make the cut. They are good libraries, but it's when you find something that's like a 9 or even like a 10, like maybe a 10 minus or somewhere in there, then everything else is just like it doesn't cut it for you anymore. Obviously that's subjective to a degree, because we all have our own thing that we're chasing. But I just wanted to say that my standards are super, super high. So I should have said that in the beginning, that this is it could be brutal, but I mean, so far this seems really, really, really stellar. There are some basic presets here. This one's called Clicky. Yeah, this is really nice. I'm super impressed by how this plays, because Tapezo 1 is more like a super vibey library with a lot of like synth content. So you don't really, when you play it, I feel like I'm sort of more listening to what's coming out of the speakers and kind of responding to that. But this one is obviously, as it is like a more specific instrument leaning thing, obviously needs to have that playability aspect in the bag. So I didn't really that's why I didn't even expect a library like this from the Phonoloop, because that's not something I've played from them. But this plays super, super nicely. Like even the responses to the dynamics, like when I play harder, it doesn't go overboard, it doesn't do too little. Beautiful textures, beautiful nuances. Obviously here we hear more of that clicky sample that's being sampled from the mechanics of the keyboard itself, it sounds like. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I suspect this is going to get like crazier as we go into the more weirder folders. But I mean, when I saw the name, or when I realized that it's probably referring to a Mark I Rhodes, I I thought, okay, that's cool. They're probably going to do a decent job at the sampling and kind of the normal stuff, but this is like excellent. And then the more interesting stuff is going to be the crazy wobbly processed sounds. So I'm really impressed by how playable nice this is. Let's do a drenched. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I mean, it's so effortlessly good in that department. Like going for that lo-fi, noisy, grainy sound. It's just like they've clearly learned so much from like Tapes 01, but probably everything else they do. They've really I shouldn't say began. They've mastered the lo-fi things, because and what I think is super cool about Tapes 01 is this is not like just like a pump and dump type of an instrument, because they've made updates to that instrument throughout the years a lot, and not just like tiny tweaks here and there, but I think they actually had at least one update where it was like a significant amount of new content, like I think gigs maybe. Don't quote me on that, but at least, I mean, I think it was pretty significant. So they've been improving and iterating that product. And obviously they've taken the lessons from there, because that already sounds fantastic as an instrument. And by the way, I haven't played Tapes 01 in a while, so it's probably more sophisticated and better sounding than what my memory impression is of it. But just based on this sounds like even like a next level in terms of being able to apply these effects and create these vibes and these atmospheres. This is like, it is so soft and so effortless sounding without losing any of that vibe, that mojo, that grit, and that kind of those particles. That's so good. Yeah, I mean, even these basics are getting me very excited. Quispy. This one's called Quispy. Yeah, a bit of limiter clipping there. So obviously that rattling is coming from the noise aspect. This one is called Fried Tape. How can we not play this one? Listen to that. How cool is that? Again, what's really cool about this is that it's obviously quite an extreme sound, but it's still very contextually coherent, pleasant to listen to. It could be too much to you or not, but it's a very, the contextuality of the aspects of the sound are very cohesive. Like they stick together very, very nicely. Okay, and also I'm super impressed by the artifacts and the particles here. You can really, it has like an actually mechanical sounding aspect to it, like a tangible, visceral quality, rather than just being like, you know, a lot of the time these kind of effects can not really make an impression on you. But here it really feels like there's actual weight and heft to it, which is really cool. I wish these names were less interesting, because then I wouldn't be mad about missing out on some of these presets. Yeah, there are big level differences here, depending on the sound. So I got to be adjusting that limiter quite a bit. These noise profiles, whatever they've done on that noise front is really, really, really good. Obviously, very essential thing to get right with any kind of a lo-fi type of an instrument. So, but they're just like beautiful, because you've got to balance the vibe with the sonic aspect of it. Like, how pleasing is it to the ear? Does it trouble the ear? Is it too distracting? Is it too heavy? Is it too upfront? But these are just, because you've got to balance, like, vibe means that there's some balls to it. You know, there's something that's strong enough to give you a sense of what's going on and you know, what is the character of this. But if you got too much of certain aspects poking at you, then it gets distracting. This one is called Juicy. That was the limiter clipping. I really like how this top end is biting on a lot of this processing, in a very sort of a visceral way. You get like a feeling of something tangible, mechanical biting onto it. Yep, gotta pull back the level there. That was the limiter. Let's pull back just a bit more. A fantastic example of what I mean with the effects. It feels like I'm actually getting like a tangible mechanical bite on these sounds. Really, really impressively processed. Yeah, again, beautiful. I love how the Rhodes kind of stays in the back and then the effects take the forefront. But again, it's vibe establishing. It's not annoying in any sort of way. Anything else from this folder? I mean, I want to play all of this because it just sounds so good, but we have so many full folders to go through. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, the effects here are like a form of art here in itself. This is so well done. Like, they're not just great sounding effects, but they're what is the word? They're infused with these source sounds. Just the amount of vibe here is insane, but also how lively and captivating those effects are. It's really, really amazing. Let's go into extensions. I mean, yeah, that's that's really good stuff. Beautiful. I can hear obviously that some pitching has been done. I love how you can hear it, and even if that's digitally done, which I'm not confident it is, but it doesn't really even matter here because the vibe here, everything comes together so beautifully. Everything is super vibey, super sonically impactful and meaningful. And again, I'm repeating this point, but this is super exceptional that the level of tangibility here, they're not just cool sounding effects and super vibey, but they grab at you, they punch at you, they sort of get in your face in a sort of very nice way, very viscerally. It's like they're actually there. Oops. Yeah, this is extremely impressive stuff. extremely cool. It's like, kind of like a wet, transient smack there. I'm sorry I did that. Because I know some people, including myself, hate sounds like that. So there you go. You're welcome. Very cool. Love that kind of stuff. It can seem sort of very fringe and weird, but if you're making lo-fi, certainly, then you'd be surprised how usable and cool that stuff can be. Dreamy. Wow, I'm just gonna do the walk away straight up. That's just so impressive how that hits you. It sounds almost like some type of FM synthesis at that point. But then when you sustain the notes, it gains this kind of music boxy quality. So impressive how that kind of latches on. Again, visceral. Another dreamy. Man, like, I'm just repeating myself. Let's stop doing that. This one has like almost like a marimba. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Why do I struggle remembering this instrument? Like a steel drum, a type of vibe to it in the sort of back. I gotta say, this is some of the most unique electric piano treatment that I've ever heard in my life. Obviously, anyone can take those samples and do weird things with them, but how successfully this can sort of diversify and expand and explore these different aspects in a way that's useful, musical, interesting, and has this level of like sonic impact is genuinely extremely impressive. This isn't like gimmicky in any way. This is super unique and usable. Nice, kind of like a woody edge to that sound as well. Let's do one more dreamy. I mean, again, and we're just but playing a few of these presets here. So if the impression of the scope is vast based on this kind of a sample size, then yeah, I love this. This sounds like one of those like plastic pipes that you hit. Each one of these seems to have like a unique characteristic that it's sort of paired with another instrument or aspects of another instrument. I don't actually know how they sampled this thing, so it could even be that they're sort of hybridized somehow, but I guess we'll have to see when it comes out, then I'll know more. the Mark 1. That's a bunch of letters. Yeah, all the pitching stuff is really cool because you get these kind of multi-layered octave things, but they're super nicely balanced. Usually I shy quite heavily away from stuff that's sampled in such a way that the octaves are baked into there, because I'm really specific about the levels. But here it's just like, you don't even think about it like that. It's just like fused into one sound. That sounds super nice. Again, very surprised that, I mean, we're getting into the synthy realm here. But again, how soft the edge of that sound is, it's just extremely pleasant to listen to. And it will work extremely well for the lo-fi genre. And, well, I mean, you could do hip-hop, you could do a bunch of stuff with this, as I'm sure many of you will. But how good is that? Stupid good. Stupid good. That one has like a harmonium sound to this. So I'm getting the impression that this is like the Mark 1 is the center of this, but then it kind of has all these tentacles and it goes and picks from different instruments like the harmonium. Give me a bit of music box there, give me a bit of synthy stuff there. So this seems extremely versatile. So one of those cases where you would make a big mistake bypassing this just because it has a name like that, if you know that it's related to an electric piano, and then you say, oh, well, I don't like that, or I don't use that. Which, yeah, could this be named something else? I mean, I'm sure it could. You could make a library based on an instrument and call it something else completely if it becomes its own thing. But then again, it does have this aspect of the classic sounds as well. So I don't know. I wasn't tasked to name this, but just thinking about it. But in case you are one of the people who is like, oh, I don't need another electric piano, this is not just what it is. And yes, you do need another electric piano. I mean, I'm just going to do this again because this is just like right down my alley. Just this kind of stuff. Say particle, say grain, anything. I'm just like, okay, say more. yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep doing this. It's just like, that's just right down my alley. It's beautiful. First of all, when I pull back as a player, the grains respond to that dynamic and they kind of express themselves differently. Then when I dig deeper into it, it also kind of expands with me. And also, beautiful solution here to have the grains subside and disappear when you start like a next phrase or when you play again. It creates a beautiful push and pull. And this is like musically super inspiring because this instrument, this preset is giving me conditions. It's like, oh, this is how I work. And obviously I can go in there and change them, but that's beside the point that I'm making here. It's like I'm playing and it's doing things and I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's actually very nice. And that gives me ideas. And we got to move on from that because I'm just going to play that all day. Otherwise, and again, we're just randomly picking presets here as we cannot do all of them, unfortunately, in one video, but I mean, this demo is going to be more walking than anything else. But I mean, this is stellar. This is beautiful. This is probably the most inspiring thing that I've laid my hands on in a while. And that's saying a lot because we've demoed a lot of really, really stellar stuff. This is really incredible. Obviously, I love the kind of granular stuff that's going on here, but the programming here is beautiful. These are like mini kind of encapsulated creative ideas that are embedded in each of these presets. And I just think they're super interesting and beautiful. So I am biased in that way because that's I love these type of sounds. But this is just, yeah, stellar work. Yeah, I'm just getting lost in this. This is so good. Incredible. I mean, just the basic sound here. Obviously, a beautiful Rhodes and then a beautiful, this grit here, the noise, the filtering, absolutely stunning. And that kind of, that granular effect there is incredible. I mean, that's really like the highest praise I can give to you because I genuinely forgot we were even filming a video here. I just played and I got lost in it. So that's the highest praise I can give. I'm just going to be repeating myself a lot, but this is truly incredible, super inspiring. Just, you know, even not even talking about just how great this sounds, how well it plays, everything, but just this exuding energy that to me is super inspirational, which is like, again, another highest praise that I think a composer can give to a library. Like, if this is giving me ideas to create music that I want to create, then that's, I mean, what more can I ask for? Yeah, insane. So cool sounding, so inspiring. Everything is like spot on. That's incredible stuff. How good sounding is that? Let's do a tape loop here. Absolutely insane. Beautiful, like the noise there. Again, it's like these beautiful waves that are hitting the shore, but it's so well balanced. It puts you in that vibe. You don't even get bothered by it. You just get captured by it. Then the beautiful roads that play so nicely. All those loops, grains, whatever the heck kind of magic they're putting in there. That's just that is absolutely stellar. I mean, that's all I got to do. I don't even have to play more. The noise profile there, so beautiful. I mean, everything there is just 10 out of 10 for me. Okay, moving into essences. So with 2 folders in, completely sold, 10 out of 10. Take my money. And we got a lot more to go. These are called cascades. I mean, this is just stupid good. It's stupid good. That's my review. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know the pricing of this, but I would just pay up as myself. Like, I don't even know what the heck that was. Like, to me, it sounds like these are individual loops that they sort of captured in that note, and maybe there's some like even like random pooling in. Let's actually try that. Yeah, so there's something like that going on. Might be velocity based, might not be, hard to tell. Results aren't exactly consistent. Probably some kind of a random aspect there. But you have these different selections of very different types of loops, but they kind of stitch them together in ways that are complementary and interesting. What I love about this is I literally have no idea what's going to happen in the next step, which I feel like is kind of what they went for with this preset specifically. But how absolutely stunning that is, how absolutely inspiring that is. This is incredible work. And like to do that at that sort of a level where the sound of it and the vibe of it and the playability of it is cohesive and you can just do that, that must have taken a lot of work, I would imagine. I'm gonna keep doing this. Every single preset here is worth the walk away. That's how excited I am about this. Again, such a unique thing. Like, I don't exactly know what's going to come out of there, but I can trust that it's going to be super interesting, super cool. And what's strange about this is I feel like this is so well mapped, like what is going to come out of here, that I feel like there's a super intuitive connection to this. Like, I know, okay, I'm going to go there and insert that note at that velocity, and then it feels like it knows what I want, but it knows it even better. So this is really, really, really incredible, and just like how inspiring that is. This is bonkers stuff. Like, one of those moments when you feel like, oh, this is too good to be true, because some of these sounds I've been in my head trying to build these kind of sounds in my head for years, and been chasing and searching them. And then every once in a while I've had dreams where I find an instrument. This is a very kind of composer, music producer type of a dream, fantasy, I'm sure. But I play and it's beautiful, and I'm like, whoa, oh, and then you wake up and you're like, what the heck? Where's my instrument? Now it feels a bit dreamy to me. Like, this is kind of, for me, too good to be true. So it's a really, really cool moment. Yeah. Absolutely stellar. Let's do crossover. Really interesting. Don't know what that is, what I should make of that, but again, the tangibility of these sounds is super awesome. It's kind of a very like Tapes 01 type of a sound. One of the things, again, we're in this folder, these sounds are super different from one another, but they're under the same title. So this can be really difficult to sort of navigate and wrap your head around. So I am going to go to the manual here, just to, let's look at the, so yeah, I think obviously the website, hopefully, is going to have some kind of a reveal on the philosophy here. And I would also love to hear and see like a listing of what these presets are, because this can be a bit difficult to navigate for newcomers. I know that's a stylistic thing, and once you wrap your head around it and you favorite stuff by yourself, sure, it becomes a different thing. But so we have sources here. Okay, so yeah, we can obviously go in there and look at what's happening. So that kind of helps, But again, we're talking about like from a speed perspective. If it's in the title of the preset, that's a very different type of a thing we're talking about. But let's go back to the instrument. I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be back very shortly. All right, we're back. There is a crane working in the yard behind this wall. So if you do hear some noises due to that, I do apologize. Let's do one more crossover here. All right. Let's go to fluid. Yep, incredible. Just what they do on that front with the granular stuff. And a lot of like, yes, innately, like I enjoy the granular sound, but the magic is when you program or teach the engine to behave in interesting ways in relation to your playing. Like it's controlling that loop buffer and what you put there and how it triggers and what it does, and when that's where the magic really happens. And this is one of the few examples where it's done really brilliantly in the software side. I've played a few pedals, actually, guitar pedals, interestingly enough, that do that really well. But this seems to have captured that like in a perfect way on the software front of things. Yeah. Cool. We'll try and do a couple from each type. That's really cool. This is like getting harder into the territory of being its own instrument. Like it says, these are the conditions that I'm setting for you. I'm only going to do stuff within these parameters, and good luck. You're going to have to deal with it. Obviously, again, we can go in there and tweak things, and that's great because if you hear something you like, but it's not quite what you want, you can go there, change the conditions, and voila, then you can do what you want. But for me, like playing this, I'm treating this like its own instrument, and I'm hearing what it wants to do and what it won't do. And I'm like, okay, interesting. And this is cool because it sounds like kind of like you have to keep it busy because it wants to kind of go to snooze really fast. So these kind of things are really interesting to me as a composer because it puts me in a different headspace, and it's super inspiring because it sets limitations, and limitations are innately inspiring. So incredible stuff. Let's do another opposite side. Yeah. How cool is that? Like, genuinely, how cool is that? It's amazing. Incredible. Incredible. It's just one after the other. I mean, that is like, again, like a 10 out of 10 for me. Yep. I think we've established that this folder is fire. Collages. Let's see what that is. Okay, getting into that kind of a rhythmical, loopy pad area. Yeah, that was the limiter clipping. There are some resonance buildups there. How beautiful is that? I mean, I would walk away at this point, but I've just done it too much. And instead of walking, I'll rather demo this. Incredible. Just, that's all. Jeez, really cool. That had a very strong Tapes 01 vibe. Repetitions. Yeah. Love that stuff. Incredible. All right, looks like the camera quit on us for a bit there, but we are back now. Also had a bit of a break and some food, so I have re-energized myself for this. Let's continue on and do maybe a couple of more from this folder. Super cool. I like this sort of more subtle sound. Fantastic, like warm, blanket-like tone to it, filtered. But the tiny changes, the tiny shifts and nuances and moving parts make it super lively. That's one of the things that when you're doing kind of pad-like stuff, it can get too static very easily. And then sometimes, or a lot of the times, the traditional synthesis methods don't really create interesting types of motion and movement. And here you can hear that like an actual sample is changing. So it's very abrupt in a beautiful way. Makes you think and catches your ear very nicely. Let's do vibrations. loving that noise, loving that soft distortion. They really nail that to my taste super, super nicely. So that was Collages. Let's go into Fragments here. This is stellar. I just love how it's shifting different samples in place. It's just a perfect marriage of this great sampling, then shifting the samples themselves. Then you have all these effects and this mojo. It's truly, truly stunning stuff. Let's do Looped Loops 4. Wait, did I get that folder right? Yep. Let's pull back on the reverb here, or the limiter. Again, absolutely beautiful. So these are more like kind of broken, like sequences. Well, not sequences, but combination of different broken bits and pieces. Really liking how that sounds. Incredible stuff. Let's go into the scans. Yeah, this is one of those few instruments that they really understand the kind of perfect playable aspect of the granular synthesis loop buffer size. So they like granular synthesis can sound amazing and incredible, but to find ways of using it in a way that's playable and responds to how you're playing, you really gotta have a way to adjust the buffer size buffer size for those grains, and then also have enough randomness there, or parameters that sound interesting otherwise. But they really understand that here, because this remains hyper playable, so it's actually responding to what you're doing, and the buffer behavior maps to the playing, which makes that so playable and interesting. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that does have that scanning sound to it. Again, I'm just repeating myself at this point, but this is really, really good. This is about to get a bit loud, so let's pull back the level. Incredible. Okay, those are some of the transformations here. Let's do something from vibrations. Beautiful. I love this top end of this mod wheel effect change. The reverb is beautifully soft and puffy, and then beautifully the distortion drives into that reverb, giving it this kind of slightly broken, gritty, yes, but also kind of a hopeful tone that's incredibly well done. I got lost here in the folders. There we go. Vibrations. Shall we do another vibration? All right. Cool. Going into passages. Let's do that properly. Bit tricky because I would need to sync the notes regardless of timing, which if you're even a tiny bit off with a patch like that, it will become cluttered sounding. But again, here, beautiful distortion here, and then how it sort of sings into the reverb is just stunningly well done. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful hugging sound. Very sort of tight, nice low end there. Beautiful sound. Again, great example of how it goes from this very sort of closed in thing and then it opens up with that reverb. Super cool, interesting sounds. It's incredible how they can put this together on so many different levels, because I'd say most companies maybe manage 2 different dimensions where they really nail things, but cool. You got sort of more sounds leaning to the actual source sound and kind of simple loops there as well, which is very useful. Nice. Let's do fluctuations. beautiful, going from small to big, as you should in life. Glitched. Yeah, incredible. Simple, good patterns, but there's so many tiny details going on that it makes it super interesting and engaging. Cool. Let's do one more glitched. Okay, I mean, so many things. Such a pleasant, puffy, round, soft, analog sound. Beautiful. I love that it responds to the timing of the actual input. Here, obviously, you can change that, but you can create very lush patterns with. If you have these kind of glitchy things or anything granular, frankly, you can really create beautiful textures by slightly altering the landing of the notes. I mean, it's just it's like eating cake. Listening to that, it's just, I don't like cake. Bad metaphor, I guess, from that perspective, but a lot of people do. And but yeah, eating like something really good and juicy, that's just like ear candy, really pleasant to the ears. These ones are called little loops. Yeah, that would be worth a walk away, but we've done it so many times that why bother at this point anymore? Really, really beautiful stuff. Nice. Beautiful. How thick is that? How full is that? Beautiful sound. Again, here the noise is 10 out of 10. Beautiful, beautiful noise. So pleasant to listen to. Love the creativity there, using that as the rhythm there. Very simple thing, but it establishes it so nicely. And then you have this warm bottom, kind of low, mid, or high, low, which is so feels like a warm hug. It's that's just absolutely stunning. How cool is that? Also, it just sounds like it's ready to go, for waiting for a track to be made. This one is called Steppy. Beautiful. How good is that? Like that low part of that. So full, so soft. Yeah. Yeah, it's that good. It kind of reminds me of some of the Tapes 01 stuff. Broken and gritty. Going into Plucks, finally. So let's get into it. Cool. Well, that's good. Yeah, that sounds super full, super warm. Perfect amount of noise, perfect amount of thickness there. Feel like making some kind of a dance track. Plinks and plonks. Cool. Plinks and plonks. Yeah, these are definitely sort of more upfront. Obviously, they're simpler sounds also in relation to these multi-layered things, but yeah, this reminds me more of the Tapes 01 stuff. Beautiful sound, super simple. We have this reverse thing, but it sounds so, again, so juicy, so thick. Very, very nice sounding. I mean, here it really sounds like there's a bunch of other stuff like glasses in there, but you can still get that sound from the mallets out of, I think that's the right term, from the Rhodes. So it is possible. Really cool sound. Beautiful textures. The textures here are just super good. Like there, for example, that distorted edge, but it sounds kind of natural distortion, maybe enhanced a bit. Beautiful. Cool. Let's go into short 4. Yeah, this is definitely, these are sort of more akin to tape. So 1, let's do a couple of warped ones. Okay, interesting layout here. Got some of the lower notes up here. Yeah, we need to work on that, but beautiful texture, such a nice sound. Going into Reveries. No idea what these are, but let's start with boson. You're a boson, Harry. Yeah, really cool. So this might be more like a sound design, soundscape type of a thing. I mean, all of these names are way too tempting for me to not play. Yeah, definitely more soundscapey, sound designy. Beautiful. I love how expressive this mod wheel is, how well those sounds are paired. Beautiful stuff. Okay. Moving into moments. Yeah, that's very Tapes 01 like, and I mean that in a good way. This mod wheel is a bit too trigger happy here for me. I would love like a bigger scale there, but let me max it out and test what it sounds like. Let's just for safety reasons pull back this level. There's that one edge of that kind of sound, that glittery thing there. That edge of it is perfectly mixed. Like it's a perfect amount of brilliance, brightness, and distortion and edge. And it's like popping at you every once in a while. That one, there's like a glitchy bit. Yeah, this gets pretty loud when it wants to. How beautiful is that? That is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah, I wish for these moments, I wish we had a bit more leeway here in the first third of the mod wheel range, and then kind of bloom into it slower. Feels like it blooms into it very fast, and then it kind of stabilizes in this 2 to 3 thirds range. So, but I mean, these sounds. The slightly kind of brass like edge there. Beautiful. Beautiful sound. again, so many things. The noise, the wave-like pattern that it creates. The noise is so good. And all this like, it's too good. Too good. Mark 1 is illegal now in Finland. I have the authority to do that. Sweet. Okay, let's go into unfolds. This is a big word for me, so this better sound good. Yeah, they really get the reverbs so nicely done. And also how they pair that with the noise and the distortion. It's excellent. Beautiful imaging details, that slight thing shifting there from side to side, beautiful. This just everything, the sense of space there, the textures, the motion, incredible. Just the richness of that texture there is incredible. It feels like I could chew it. It's so tangible. Don't worry, I'm not gonna start eating my speakers. I love those broken pitched tape sounds there. It's just so good. I mean, just this, again, this texture alone, beautiful. And then you get those, you know, gnarly, distorted pitch shifting tape elements. Very, very nice. Okay, we got something called vastness, which is another word that I very much do enjoy. So let's pull down the volume here. That's a bit excessive. incredible. Beautiful soundscape, imaging, sense of space, the plim-plom stuff, which I always love. It just makes me want to write music. I want to write an album with this thing. I mean, come on, just the basic sound there for the Rhodes, it's just so juicy, so thick. Then you got all of these different aspects so shooting out of it. Beautiful vibe, beautiful soundscape, beautiful. Yeah, incredible stuff. I'm not personally a big fan of glassy sounds, so I'm probably not gonna spend time playing that. Wormhole. Again, it's like so soft. Cool. That was Reveries, going into Ventures, and now we're in Ambiances. Let's see what these are like. Extremely cool. I love this sampling on this, whatever this is. Whatever they're beating or recording there. Beautiful sense of space on that sample. Beautiful combination of like actual realism, but makes it's still super pleasant sounding. And this beautiful pairing of a keyboard with it. Ambiances 4. come on. How much vibe is there? That's a lot of mojo, a lot of mood, a lot of vibe. Very cool. Excellent vinyl noise, by the way, which is actually seems pretty hard to find, like a really, really good one. I mean, come on. It's like tape resonance, sounds like, or like definitely tape drive is in there, but that's beautiful. So one of the things I wanted to say about the previous preset was that how beautiful, because when you, I know many of you have actually wound, when you wind back or forward a cassette tape actually really, really fast. It makes really interesting, like this mechanical noise. And he has this kind of whiny type of a thing. I don't mean just like winding, but it has like, it sounds like a bit of like a cry or a howl or something like that. I love how they took that and make kind of a rhythm out of it. That was really, really beautiful. And here, I mean, this is so good. Oh my Lord, how good is that? And that rhythmic noise there, it's just like, and when you're listening to these, they're so rich. Like oftentimes when you try and put a lot of things together, things keep getting worse and worse and worse. But here, it's like a richness. It's actually adding something to the whole thing. The complexity here is like purposeful, and it's so rich that it's even hard to keep track of, not necessarily because of the number of them, but they blend so well together that you're just there like enjoying the sound instead of being, oh, that's a noise and that's a clunky sample and that's the Rhodes and that's like some kind of weird granular thing. It's just like one experience. So incredibly impressive. Again, there's that lovely soft edge going into blue depths. Depths, that's how it's pronounced. I love those swooping in effects. I wish they triggered faster. You can obviously go tweak that, but bit of limiter clipping there at the end. I mean, wow. Again, it's the fact that you're playing and you're hearing and you're responding and you're changing your playing, you're responding to what you're hearing. It's just such a lovely creative feedback loop. It just speaks to the level of the musicality of this thing here. It's incredible. Incredible. It just puts you in a place, you know. Again, beautiful. So subtle movements, but it's so rich and so captivating. Cool. Let's go into Crystal Caves. These sound glassy. Oh, the name sounds glassy to me, so we'll see how Mr. Anti-Glass likes it. Yep, Mr. Anti-Glass says, "Not today, Crystal Caves. Crystal Caves, go away." Glad to report that doesn't sound like a crystal cave. That sounds like a lo-fi cave. Beautiful. I just like realized as I'm listening to those, like all those wonky tape artifacts, sounds that come from that processing. I haven't heard any other company who can pull those off at those levels. And granted, they also have their own sound to that, but I happen to be a big fan of that sound. But yeah, I haven't heard anybody do like lo-fi tapes in that way, whereas the warble, the artifacts, the particles, the wonkiness, the distortion, the tearing, all of that, all the grit, it's just, they get it. And I think they get it better than anyone else in the business, as far as I've been able to play instruments and stuff out there, which is a lot, let's face it. So yeah, beautiful tone. The noise here is incredible. The tiny percussive elements there. It's just so captivating. Like I'm instantly in that place, wherever that song takes place. It takes me there. Beautiful soundscape. How good. They call it a hook. I understand why. Super nice. imaging here is insane. The soundscape, again, so well balanced and built and expansive. The tiny, like, there's tiny things that sort of come in and out here and there, and they're just so beautifully done. And they just enhance the sound in a beautiful way. Not too much, not too little, but it's, and the fidelity of those kind of things, it's just, this is just bonkers good. Incredible. That's going to be a track right there. Opposites. Interesting. Kind of spoopy stuff. Pretty drastic level difference, but beautiful exploration of those sounds nonetheless. Nice. Cool. Going into monophonic. So let's play these. Interesting inclusion. I mean, these, I don't know if these are samples of the Mark I turned into kind of a synthy things, or whether they are actually just synthy things. So these are sort of more bare bones, simple, it seems. I mean, they sound very synthy to me, so they probably are. Cool. So these are probably things you can use as sort of more building blocks. Yeah, I'm not much of a sequencer or sequence user. I do use sequencers, but pre-sequenced sort of patterns, unless I can tweak them myself. So nice stereoized monophonic things. Let's do a couple of themes here. Really cool sound. Obviously, you should tweak that if you want to not have it be monophonic. Let's try that again and let's pull down the level here. Yeah, I actually really like these. These are super broken lo-fi. Nice. And one last one. Cool. Okay, looks like we went through all of these. We got stuff in the MPE folder, but considering I don't have an MPE controller of any sort, probably not going to go into that. But I can just imagine, based on all of the different aspects that this instrument can produce and the things that you can control, I imagine those are probably super cool. And this is like a very exceptional instrument in the sense that when I play it, it evokes this natural curiosity to actually control a lot of these parameters in a nuanced fashion. And I can only imagine how fulfilling that must feel to be able to do that, because just normal control of this instrument is super pleasing. But to have the MPE dimension to it, where you can actually control individual qualities even further, is this is one of those instruments where that seems like a super good compatibility thing, like something that it naturally wants to do. But to summarize this, it's very difficult for me to not give this a 10 out of 10. The only caveat is that I don't really know the pricing yet here. But I would struggle. It would need to be quite expensive for me to not justify purchasing this, because I mean, this is right down my alley as a musician, as a composer, as a liker of sounds. So this would be, one of those purchases for me that would be like, you'll do anything to justify it. Like I said, I found it very strange that Tapes 01 was so cheap. I remembered it being a lot more expensive. Maybe it was at some point. Maybe not a lot more, but somewhat more, because I think it was 120 euros now, full price. So if this is in that same ballpark, to me, it makes this an absolute no-brainer. If it was in the category of 3 times the Tapes 01 price, maybe not quite, but maybe like a bit less than 3 times that, 2 point something, I would still find it very justifiable, because this is, obviously any library comes down to whether it has your sound or not, and whether it allows you to do music that you want to do. What is the price on that? Again, that's a philosophical and other conversation. But if this is even in the same ballpark as Tapes 01, I think this is a really no-brainer thing. And like I said, I would pay more for it if I had to. But luckily, I didn't have to, so that's good. I think mainly the thing that I would change or improve or have the option of adjusting would be the naming system here. This was probably my main gripe with Tapes 01 in terms of how they name and categorize things. So what I'm really pleased by is the folders. These seem to work really well, and they actually really well categorize the things that you're looking for or using. But within the folders, it can be more difficult to locate what you're looking for as someone who is new to the library. As you are very familiar with this, as you play with it, then you'll obviously know where things are. But some of the naming systems, for example, here we got particles 01 to particles 10 all the way. Now, for this one, it doesn't matter that much because we know they're particles, so at least that helps us. I would love to see an addition here where it kind of describes the nature of the sound, because that gives me a lot of speed as a composer. I don't need to wonder whether this is dark or bright or kind of melancholic or upbeat or things like that. I understand it's not always possible to name things like that, and I also understand that they've stylistically gone for this approach, but I would love to see kind of further naming principles that make it easier to locate stuff. And also, for example, if we have something called tape loops, that doesn't tell us really anything about the sound other than that it's a loopy thing, which is a descriptive thing, granted. But I think more information here would be super, super nice. So I don't have to familiarize myself with all of this before I know what I'm getting myself into. Otherwise, if it's called dreamy, that also tells me a lot, but there are 12 different dreamies, for example, in this folder. Again, here, cascades 1 to 11 or crossover, 1 to 12. Again, more information would be nice. I really like when names describe the quality of the sound. I understand that it's subjective to a degree and it will piss off some people and it will please others, but that's just what I would like to see to make the navigation of this easier. But as said, as you find your favorites in here, I'm sure you'll the navigation gets faster from that regard. So this is more for new users or people, navigating their way through this library. I also felt like I wanted to emphasize the fact that we, as long as this demo is and was, we only touched a tiny bit, like I don't know, percentage-wise maybe. I don't know if we did 2 sounds from each kind of descriptive word. I don't know. Did we do even 10%? Probably not. I mean, some of these have more. 10, 20%. I mean, there's so much stuff here. And what's also quite mind-boggling is even if we sampled or played a small percentage of these presets, how often I was impressed. I don't know if you were, but like there were some folders where it's just like one after the other, me just taking randomly a preset, and it's gold, it's diamond. So hopefully that also gives an idea of, if your taste is similar to mine, that this is like a very extensive gold mine of presets as well. Not to mention all the tweakability you can do with this tool. I mean, I know we didn't really dive deep into the kind of creative tweaking usage of this, which this really lends itself really nicely to. I mean, even just going into presets you like that utilize interesting modes that you like, and then just going into the slots of the samples and randomizing those with, there are these tiny square buttons here which randomize stuff. Even just that alone makes this insanely good. So you'd really struggle not to find inspiration with this. So that's just another thing I wanted to emphasize, because it is very exceptional for the preset offerings to be this wide and this high quality. So that's a really high praise in my book as well. Going through the categories, first of all, just the initialized Rhodes, just the bare bones, just sampled Rhodes sounds fantastic. Like, there are many libraries that are basically just that. They give you the Rhodes and that's it. Maybe they have a few effects there, etc., and that's the end of it. But on its own, even you could have this as your own Rhodes, and you could have this as your only Rhodes and pretty much be done with it. Obviously, that depends on the tone that you want to go for. But this sounds really nice. It plays beautifully. Absolutely fantastic work. I love that the Classics folder is there, because it's kind of like the normal Rhodes sound, but just done in different sort of ways and tones. So this would be kind of your, if you were to just use a Rhodes that's identifiable as a Rhodes, you would go here and find the tone or the sound for your track. So absolutely fantastic. Like I said, there are already many companies out there whose offering is basically just this folder alone. And these are absolutely fantastic sounding. Certainly if you are a lo-fi sound fan, again, I think a no-brainer thing. And even if you're not, this is really, really very, very excellent Rhodes offering just on its own. Even if we forget about all the other stuff that's in here. But yeah, very, very nice. The extensions then go from that sort of more, like they say, classic sound into the more weirder, out there territory. Absolutely loving these as well. Then you get sort of more soundscape-y, more ambient, more sound designy in a lot of these folders. It's just, I think the first 5 folders were just preset after preset after preset, just like 10 out of 10 for me. And again, remember, we sampled very randomly stuff from here, only a sliver of everything that's in here, because we unfortunately can't play everything because the demo would take a week. But yeah, extremely impressive. Passages, more like rhythmic type of things that can be great for like cues, or if you need that kind of rhythmic element in your track. Fantastic to have the plucks because it kind of breaks it down to the simplest or the simpler plucky sounds, so you don't have to go and pick them up from these other folders. Reveries were sort of, and also Ventures were definitely more into that kind of ambient soundscapey realm. And in those two folders, I felt like there was a lot more overlap. And again, overlap is not necessarily a negative thing. To some it is, but to some it's not, because you can find a great sound, but then there's the question of, can it be better? And when you have a library that has sufficient overlap, then you can sort of always, inch your way closer to the best sound, the best take on what you're trying to do. So really, really enjoyed those as well. And also the Reveries and Ventures were sort of more reminiscent of Tapes 1 in their style. And again, that's a praise in my book, because that library is fantastic as well. And then in Monophonic, you have these kind of basic blocks, very simple monophonic synthy things. And again, this is just looking at the presets here, not even going under the hood and tweaking things to our liking, because it just expands a whole new other world to this. So the scope of this is super, super impressive. Again, I don't know what the price is for this, but this is a very expansive library. I don't know if it's going to be expensive, but expansive it is. Super inspiring. Like I said many times in this demo, I just forgot I was filming altogether, because I got lost in the sound and I just played. And there's no higher praise that I can give than that. Also, they do the lo-fi sound better than I'd say any other company out there. It's just how it is for me. The noises that they use are insanely good, because again, noises can be super vibe creating, but if they're not done right, then they can just be annoying and difficult to listen to. These noises are super, every single one that I came across was extremely pleasant to listen to, extremely immersion creating. So fantastic work on that front. And anything to do with the kind of lo-fi tape, kind of cassette type of stuff, this is just at the very cutting edge of that sound. They're just so much vibe, so much mojo, so much texture richness, and it like I said many times during this review, things come out of the speakers and it feels like I can grab things. It's very sort of visceral and tangible, and that's incredible. An incredible achievement. And also the fact that kind of linking to the aspect of losing yourself into this when you're playing, is that so many of these presets are so good because they're so inspiring, and that's really the main thing. Like, these are really cool instruments, and the tech is wonderful, and they look great, and they sound great, but at the end of the day, this is about whether I find something that inspires me to write music, and hopefully it's going to be good music, but at the very least, you want to find something that inspires you and makes you want to write music and create music. Because as cool as these tools is, or as cool as these tools are, it's about music creation, and this inspires me musically super, super deeply. And in fact, I really, really want to make an album based on the sounds that this thing can give. So again, that's one of the highest praises that I can give a library. And also I want to praise the mixing work here, because so many of the sounds, it's really difficult to make something so vibey and have so much character, but have it sit effortlessly in the sound stage. And to have this kind of maximal impact with minimum space taken is really like the holy grail of mixing in my book, because you can make really big sounding, impactful mixes with sounds like that. So this is just incredible from that kind of production mixing standpoint as well. I know it's only April now, so we got quite a bit of the year to go, but I would be extremely surprised if at the end of the year this didn't make, I mean, it will certainly make the top 10. I think it will easily make the top 5. I think it will easily make the top 3 best libraries of this year. That's how confident I am of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was the best library of the year for me. But that's how good this is. Like, this is extremely an extremely good showing. This actually makes me want to go back and play with Tapes 01 again a bit. Like I said, I don't think I've even worked with it since the kind of big update. So really excited to see what's been put in there and how this sort of plays with that library. I can obviously hear that they will work together wonderfully because they have that phonoloop sound and style. And I'm also really happy that this company seems to be taking their time making these instruments, because they seem to really care about the quality of them, and I think it shows very, very clearly here. Although, yeah, I would definitely want to have more of this sweetness, but obviously good things take time, so happy they are taking it. Cool. That's it for this video. If you already have this at home or at your studio, let me know what you think of this. And also certainly let me know what you think of this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.